What up, guys? Today we're going to be reviewing episode 13 of Dragon Ball Daima, and we're going to go through what happened in this episode and talk about Dragon Ball Daima as a whole, since we are 13 episodes in and there's only 20 episodes. So there's going to be 7 episodes left before this is all done. And if I'm being honest, we don't have enough time, I feel like at this point, to waste on like small things like they've been doing before. We have to speed up a little bit faster. And they did finish, the fight against the Tamagami 3. So they got the second Dragon Ball, and then Arisu, she uh using Majin Buu beat the Tamagami 1, so they got their Dragon Ball. So they just need to get Goku and them to the first world, which they were going. Now it started off opening up with King Oma as he's seeing it and he's kind of tripping. He's like, okay, they're coming here. We need to stop them and prevent them. So he's like, shut down Warp Sama. And Degusu was like, are you sure, man? I think that's a little extreme. He's like, no, I'm telling you, go turn it off. So he went down to the room, turned them off. So they can't really transport through there. And then their ship was also kind of messing up. Goku and the rest of their ship was messing up. And then it crashed. And it crashed on this, planet. And that's the whole episode was them on the planet itself. It was a massive planet and we see giant creatures. We saw them fighting as giant hamsters, then a giant dog, and then a giant kid. And this reminded me of GT when they were going traveling and they went to that one giant planet. And that guy was big too, but he wasn't as big as these giants because this was just a child. And they said it was the second most dangerous planet in the entire demon realm. And we do get revealed in the end of the episode what was the number one. But yeah, this is more dangerous because of how big the creatures are on this planet. So they're pretty much trying to fix the ship, trying to get back, and get through there. They don't know about warp sound being shut off, so I don't know how they're gonna get through. From the second demon world to the first, but they're gonna probably try to find a way to do it. And Anisu, as she was messaging, Grollo, and Grollo was like, "Yeah, we got the other two." But she noticed that Warp Town was shut down. I don't know why she didn't tell him. Maybe she did. They didn't show them explaining fully everything. But like, if she knows that Warp Town is shut down, then shouldn't she be concerned that I'm not gonna be able to get the other two Dragon Balls over here because there's no way for them to get to here at all? So maybe she might turn it back on or something. But who knows? For right now, all we know is that they're still making their way to the first, demon world. But with him shutting down, Warp Summit, that's a big problem. And I wonder if they're gonna, fix it in the next episode. Now, with this episode, if I'm being honest, I'm not gonna go into too much because there wasn't really much. It was just them fighting as hamsters, and then the giant kid came in, and then his dog, and then they're fighting as the dog. And personally, if I'm being honest, I felt like the whole giant thing, I don't feel like it was that big of a threat to them. For some reason, Goku and Vegeta and the rest of them were struggling against them. But it's like they're so powerful, they should be able to handle them. Goku even goes Super Saiyan 2 to fight the kid off who is trying to swing a ruler at them with his power pole, and he actually loses in that exchange. So I just felt like that was ridiculous. We also get explanation on this thing called Maginite or Magite or something like that. And it's basically just an energy source. But besides that, there wasn't really any lore. There's no lore in this one. There was a bit of world building. Obviously, I mean, there was a tiny bit of lore, I guess. But there was a bit of a world building and the story progression. It didn't really progress too much. If I'm being honest, there wasn't really much to talk about in this episode. It was just they crash landed on a giant planet and had to deal with a bunch of giants and protect themselves to get the ship ready. And he was messing with the ship. And then, Degisu shutting down Warp Sama, which that isn't really that much. And we also do get revealed that the most dangerous planet in the demon world is basically this planet called Giga or something like that. And it's basically just like this planet where there's giants, there's even bigger giants on that planet. So this planet has creatures that are super massive, and then that one they have even more massive, and they call them Gigalots. So they're like the same species, but even bigger than this one. And yeah, there wasn't really anything. If I'm being honest, this episode didn't really have much. It was kind of a letdown. It's annoying a little bit because you guys have been seeing in my reviews. I've been talking about it in some of the reviews that some people have been getting a little annoyed and kind of tired, and impatient with the story being very slow, and I kind of been giving it a little bit more leeway and a little bit more, I've been a little bit nicer on it, less harsh than other people. I have been criticizing it still. I'm not gonna just say, well, we shouldn't criticize it at all, but I did feel like at first that it was like people were judging it a little too quick, like saying in episode three, not a bunch of stuff is happening. It's like it's only 3 episodes in, but now we're well into the show. We finished episode 13, we're going into episode 14, and there's only 7 episodes left, and this is what we got. I feel like the last 2 episodes, they weren't super like going crazy with like the development of the story, but they were at least developing in a decent and well paced. But this episode, it felt like it slowed down quite a bit, and it's just really annoying. If I'm being honest, is like, how are you gonna get to 13 episodes and still have an episode like this where it's so slow paced? Now I'm mad 100%. I have a feel I not have a feeling. I at this point feel like, it's fair for people to judge and criticize it and say the show is kind of boring. The show is pretty slow. The show is pretty mundane because they waste so much time on stupid shit that we didn't need. And at first, I was giving it some, I was giving it some, I was being a little bit more gentle with it. I forget what the word is, but I was being more leisurely with, I guess, the show as a whole, because I was like, you know what? There's 20 episodes, there's quite a bit of episodes, and these are just the first few episodes. But now we're 13 episodes in, and we're still slowly developing the story. We're still only slowly progressing. And it's like, why are you wasting so much time? I said this in a couple of my other videos where I mentioned the fact that if you're gonna make it 20 minutes long, I want obviously more episodes. More episodes means more Dragon Ball content. That's great, right? But if you're gonna put more episodes, put more in those episodes. If you're not gonna do that, then cut out those episodes. I'm sorry. We don't need 20 episodes if you're going to waste most of the time. This episode was not needed. If it was like, paced properly or had well pacing, this would have not been an entire episode. This would have been at least 5 minutes at most. This would have been a 5 minute max, amount of time used. It wouldn't have been an entire episode. It's just ridiculous. We didn't get anything. All we got was the portal to the first world is shut off, and then they crashed, and then now they're stuck on a planet full of giants and fighting against a dog and a hamsters, and then against a child, just to repair the ship and leave. It's like they wasted all of our time, and it sucks even more because last week we didn't even have an episode. So these episodes come out weekly. There's 20 of them. The other episodes have been kind of slow, and then we're in episode 13, and the last week we didn't get an episode. Now we got an episode. We had to wait a whole an extra week, and then this is what they give us. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This is ridiculous. You made us wait an extra week for this dog shit, so we have to wait another week for the next one, and most likely the next episode is gonna waste its time too. So at this point, I'm just completely annoyed. I'm pissed with it, and I think it's 100% fair for Dragon Ball fans to shit on it and saying this show is slow paced. It's very, very boring. If you guys think it's boring at the end of the series, I think the end of the series is going to be like far more entertaining, but I can't fault people for feeling that this show is too boring, because if you watch it from, like when the show ends, you watch it from sitting from the beginning to the end. I can't blame people if they say, well, most of the episodes were kind of waste. They could have taken out a ton of episodes. I feel like they could have made this show 12 episodes long. Usually a lot of animes are around 12 episodes, and I prefer animes to be a little bit longer. Some animes, and like in 24 episodes, I think that's still kind of short, but at least that's a decent amount of episodes, whereas 12 is kind of short. Is way too short for my for me personally. But when it comes to something like this where the show is mostly just wasting time, I would rather have 12 episodes. We do not need 20 episodes where you're just gonna waste time and stretch the episodes as a whole. Because when it comes to like bigger series, when it comes to series that are following the manga, obviously they have to stretch out scenes and put filler and waste time, because the animes catch up to the manga and kind of get to a point where they're gonna surpass it. So they have to, push the brakes and be like, hey, look, we're getting a little too ahead of ourselves. So we have to wait and let the manga to get further past. But this one doesn't have a manga, so why the hell are they you putting in filler like things in it? It's not even necessary. Or if, let's say, the show is long, right? It's like a long show. Like Dragon Ball Super was 131 episodes. That was decently long, so it makes sense why some episodes would be a little bit more, I guess, boring or more, slower because they did have a couple of slice of life episodes. But that is a bigger show. This one is only 20 episodes, and we know it's 20 episodes. So why the hell did they waste their time making this many episodes and stuff? They could have saved so much money because I'm pretty sure the budget to create the animation and the quality of the graphics in this show, which is top notch still, it costs quite a bit of money. And the more episodes you produce of it, the more money it costs. So I don't know why they would waste so much extra money creating these other episodes when we don't need it, because I feel like a lot of this stuff could have been crammed down and shortened so much. If I was to have control of the writing process of Dragon Ball Daima, personally, I would have cut out a lot of the mundane, pointless shit and then, condensed it a lot. Like this episode, like I said, specifically did not need to be, it did not need to last the entire fucking episode. You could have at most made it 5 minutes. Why waste this entire episode? Just like, I just don't get the point. What's the point of making 20 episodes or making a longer series if you're just gonna waste most of these episodes doing nothing? The one of the you know great things about having a show that's like shorter or controlling the amount of episodes that you have on a show is being able to, whittle down some of the parts that are not necessary and just leaving the parts that are important. So the show feels like, more fulfilling, because there's a lot of like shows nowadays on streaming services where they're limited, right? They have a few episodes, or even if they have multiple seasons, each season has only a few episodes, like 5, 6, maybe 10 episodes, right? But those 5, 6, 10 episodes have a lot of stuff happening. They have a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of entertaining things, and they don't have to go 24 episodes because it's kind of hard to write a lot of story. So when it gets to that or the ranges of 20 episodes, that's where kind of stories kind of stretch to the point where there's quite a bit of filler and stuff, right? And you get quite a bit of filler. So modern day, they're like, why would we make it 24 or 26 episodes where most episodes are going to be filler and most people are not going to like it anyway, when we can condense it to 12, 6, or 10 episodes and have a bunch of crazy cool stuff happening and then get rid of the pointless shit. But then Dragon Ball Daima, they get 20 episodes and they waste a lot of these episodes on boring shit. This show and the story does not need this many episodes to explain to us what's happening, especially doing this. At this point, we should not be wasting our time. We should not be having boring, slow ass episodes like this. There is no excuse at this point. Before, like I said, I was giving it some leeway because, it was just early in the show. It was only a few episodes. And I was like, we have 20 episodes, but now we're 13 episodes in and we're still doing this type of shit. It's kind of annoying. And this episode really pissed me off. If I'm being honest, I didn't really care for this episode. This episode was a big letdown. There was nothing cool lore wise. There was nothing good, insane, world building wise. And it was just a waste of time. I just came home from work and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it because, I went to work early and I was like, you know what? This is gonna be great because when I come back home, I'm gonna be able to at least watch the show early. And then I came back, watched it, and now I'm disappointed. I'm just like, really? I waited a whole week, and then we got this shit. They deserve. They're asking to be shot on. This is why the ratings are so low, because they're doing shit like this. I don't know if Toriyama or Toei Animation or whoever was thinking this, because Toriyama did have more hands on this one. Why did they really think that wasting this much, you know, screen time or episodes or whatever or runtime was gonna be a smart idea, that the people were gonna like it? No wonder the fucking views are low. They should have known already that, hey, maybe people are not gonna care about these little minor parts that don't really matter and that just waste most of the episode. Maybe you might get a little bored and a little annoyed and not tune in as much. So we have to keep it a little more entertaining. That's a real big problem. Even with Dragon Ball Super, even though I didn't like a lot of stuff about Dragon Ball Super, at least Dragon Ball Super had, stuff happening. It was more, the story was progressing a lot faster. Whereas this one is so goddamn short. This episode was boring. I'm not going to waste any more of you guys' time. I'm just going to say this episode was trash. It was boring. We only got 7 episodes left. They really need to pick up the pace. At this point, they can't do that anymore. And if they're going to keep on doing this slow action where they're building up slowly, slowly, then they deserve to have low ratings and they can't complain. And I also want to know what the fuck was behind the thought process between, Toei Animation and Toriyama, where they thought that it was necessary to make episodes like this, where you waste an entire episode doing this shit and making the show 20 episodes long, and just giving us nothing important, just wasting our time when they could have just simply made it 12 episodes and then just gave us the meat and potatoes of the story and all these new things and lore and world building, and then, wrap it up. We would have had it would have been far more entertaining. But by doing this and wasting time and running the, padding out the runtime, it really ruins the story, and it's going to lower the viewership and is going to irritate a lot of people. So it's not surprising that the views are gonna plummet in this show, or have plummeted in this show, because this was pretty this was it was a pretty ass episode. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.